the Sunday morning talk shows, right? Obviously, that's going to be the big news. That's going to be the big thing, Venezuela. So on Sunday morning, of course, that's all everybody wanted to talk about. And before those shows even started on Sunday morning, J.D. Vance decided he needed to go ahead and do a little damage control for the administration. So J.D. Vance got out there on social media, puts out this super crazy long post trying to convince Americans that this was a good thing that we did because Trump knows everything. And as I've said in the past, anytime this administration's in a sticky situation, bad things are happening, bad PR, bad whatever, they send out J.D. Vance to try to smooth things over, and it never works. I don't know why they keep going back to him. He's really bad at this, but here's what he put on social media. You see a lot of claims that Venezuela has nothing to do with drugs because most of the fentanyl comes from elsewhere. I want to address this. First off, fentanyl isn't the only drug in the world, and there is still fentanyl coming from Venezuela, or at least there was. Second, cocaine, which is the main drug trafficked out of Venezuela, is a profit center for all of the Latin American cartels. If you cut out the money from cocaine or even reduce it, you substantially weaken the cartels overall. Also, cocaine is bad too. Well, thank you for that, because I didn't know where you were going. I thought you were about to say, like, everybody, go out and party, but I'm glad you clarified that cocaine is bad. A lot of us were kind of on the fence, I guess, didn't know which way to go on the issue of cocaine, but it's good to know. Thank you, J.D. Vance, for clearing that up for us. Third, yes, a lot of fentanyl's coming out of Mexico. That continues to be a focus of our policy in Mexico. It is a reason why President Trump shut the border on day one. Fourth, I see a lot of criticism about oil. About 20 years ago, Venezuela expropriated American oil property and until recently used that stolen property to get rich and fund their narco-terrorist activities. I understand the anxiety over the use of military force, but are we just supposed to allow communists to steal our stuff in our hemisphere and do nothing? Steal our stuff in our hemisphere. You mean their country? Is that what you mean, JD? Is that what you're talking about? Their country? Yeah, we had our oil company. Chevron has been there for 103 years. And yeah, we had our oil fields that were theirs. Okay. And we had an agreement with the government at the time, because, governments change, leadership changes, things change, and they can change the deal as new people come in. And they said, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. It's their country. It would almost be like, imagine this. Imagine there's like a foreign-owned social media company. And they're operating in the United States, right? But they're not based in the United States, okay? Say they're based in China. And the United States government one day, after letting the company run for years in America, finally they say, you know what? Nope, you can't run in America. You have to sell to us. If you don't let us buy your company, you can't operate here in the United States. Does this sound a little familiar to everybody? That's what happened with TikTok. Foreign company operating in the United States and elsewhere, much like Chevron, based in the United States, operating in Venezuela, until one day the government says, no, you can't do that anymore. Wow. Kind of shocked I hadn't had that thought earlier, but yeah, that's the same thing, JD. Telling a foreign company working in your country that you control, you can't do this anymore. There you go. Not to mention the whole fentanyl thing. He's like, fentanyl comes from there regardless of what anybody says. Regardless of what your own administration says, JD? Because just a couple months ago, the Drug Enforcement Administration, under the Trump administration, released a report saying Venezuela plays virtually no role in the production or trafficking of fentanyl. Oops. So either J.D. Vance is lying to justify these actions, or the DEA was lying when they put out this report, even though they had nothing to gain from lying. going to go with the DEA on this one and assume that J.D. Vance, as per usual, as everybody else in this administration does, is just lying. Scientists recently discovered a new evolutionary trait in puppies, and it's that they cannot grow up and reach their full potential unless you subscribe to this channel. Don't do it for me, folks. Do it for little Atlas and Judge here. Good boys. You do good. You want to say something? No? Okay.